come to you today as someone who carries within him the true aspirations of Zeon.
Hello everyone in YouTube land, my name is Zeon, you are my lovely remnants. Welcome to the channel. Today we're doing a bit of a custom video. I recently got the Hera Syndula Rebels A-Wing, and like a lot of you guys, the nerf dart thing that they started doing around Rogue One was the worst idea ever of all time. It's okay on certain ships like the U-Wing, at least it like goes inside the ship, you know, but the Hera A-Wing, which looks really cool, and it is kind of small. I need to compare it to my Last Jedi and to my Return of the Jedi one. But I decided to go ahead and take it out, and actually there is a video that describes how to take it out, but it doesn't really show you what the tools are, kind of thing. It just kind of gives you a brief idea. I'll put that down in the description below because that is how I decided to go ahead and do this. I'm going to go into more detail about how I ended up going ahead and removing this stupid nerf thing because it looks horrible on the bottom of this A-Wing, and it's a really cool ship. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what I did to go ahead and modify this thing. So the main thing here is that, you know, there is a nerf blaster at the bottom of this thing, and it's all muddled up now, but it looks like this. And oops. So it basically sits like that. And you see how thick that is. It just looks really off. So what you need to do is go ahead and you have 6 screws on the bottom. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You need to unscrew those. And then the other thing is that, if you can see here, there's these 2 tabs that basically hook in like this. And what you need to do is go ahead and cut this line here. I thought I had cut all the way through. I didn't realize that these tabs were so thick, and so as you can see, I like damaged it. But what I plan to do anyway is to go ahead and once I get this back together, I'm just gonna paint this middle part right here white, because on the top, as you can see, there's these white stripes here. So I'm just gonna. I don't think I can replicate this color. This it's like a off-white, I guess. So that's what I'm going to do. So once you unscrew everything and you cut straight through this line, you can go ahead and you can take this out. And then there's like little nerf dart holders here that you can push through this side. What I did, because it was annoying to push through, I just cut the nubs off and I took them out. And then I had to go through and start cutting the section out to get the nerf blaster out, because it's like a part of the ship. Of course, it couldn't just be screwed in or something easy like that. So the tools that I basically had to use to do that is, a large, BB-8, a large cutting wheel like this for the long edges and for some of the deeper parts of the ship, and then a small cutting wheel like this to get, the corners like this, and here, and things like that. So once you do that, and you get this thing out, you can go ahead, we can throw this away. And what I plan to do is the same thing that the other video I showed you did, is go ahead and I'm going to put this down, and then we're going to use epoxy putty to fill the seam, and then we will cover this part here. I'll probably put a thin piece of plow plate here, and then go ahead and do that, and then we're just going to repaint this, and that's it, really. I'm probably going to weather this too. Since I'm doing this, I might as well weather it, I guess. I'm not going to paint the top. I'm just going to paint the bottom, like I said, and then we make the A-Wing look nice and sleek like it's supposed to. So when I go ahead and start doing this, we'll come back and we'll take a look at how that looks. Okay, so I went ahead and I did the rest of the epoxy to integrate the bottom of the nerf launcher thing back into the A-Wing. I've added some plow plate where those nerf holders were. I filled in the holes with putty, and basically I just used leftover, I think this is milliput. It's just a 2-part epoxy. You mix equal part A, B. You have like an hour to work with it, and it becomes rock hard. You guys might have seen me use this stuff before in other videos, action figures, stuff like that. This is the old stuff that I had. I prefer Fix-It, Avis Fix-It. It's a lot better in my opinion, also cheaper. But I had this left over, so I figured I'd use the rest of it. So then I went in and I sanded it down with 320 sandpaper, and then I think it was 1,000 or whatever the finest grit sandpaper I had to do that. Then I decided to go ahead and you guys remember that I kind of like broke off part of the tabs here or whatever. So I've started to go ahead and like fix this edge, and it looks really gross right now until this dries, and then I'll be sanding it down so then we can just put the two halves back together without me having to sacrifice taking it apart again if I ever need to do that. So that was that, and so yeah, once this dries and I sand this, I'll paint the bottom here. And I'm still kind of going back and forth on whether or not to repaint the whole thing. I like the paint scheme on this thing, to be honest. But I don't know. It's like, will it look good? And then also I have like clay that's dried up on the parts here that I wasn't going to paint. I've tried to like get it off with a sponge, but it's not coming out. So yeah. Might have to repaint the whole damn thing, which I didn't want to do, but I might have to do it now. So let's keep going and let's see what happens. Alright, so moving on, I've gone ahead and I've masked off the areas that I don't want to be painted. I feel like I'm going to have to repaint this whole thing anyway, but let's go ahead and do this and just see what happens. Alright guys, so I've gone ahead and painted the middle. I think it came out pretty decent. I had to go ahead and resand this top bit so that it was flat again. I remember I went ahead and I fixed this part here. I think that the bottom of the Nerf gun integrated came out okay. I feel like some more sanding definitely could have been done, especially here to make this line straight. But again, this is the bottom of the ship, so I'm not too horribly broken up about it. But I think that I could have did some more sanding. Otherwise, I think it came out really well. So let's go ahead and let's take this tape off and let's see how it looks. Alright guys, well, I think it came out pretty good, actually. Did a pretty decent job masking. Now, I had to go ahead and try and clean up some of the epoxy that was on this gray part. And so I sanded it. In some parts I sanded a bit too much and went down to the bottom. So I'm thinking all I'm going to do really with this is I think I'm just going to do a little bit of weathering so that, you know, it matches. I mean, it kind of looks that way already, so... But here's the bottom, and here's the top. You can see the epoxy coming up. I think this came out pretty good, and you can still go ahead and take this thing apart now. And we don't have that huge, ugly Nerf gun, and these little three things act like a, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Landing gear. Aha! So let's go ahead and let's put the full thing back together, and let's see how it looks and how we're going to weather this. Alright guys, and here we have the finished product of the A-Wing. I went ahead and did some silver to accent the darker colors. I only did silver rub and buff on the gray and the red and the gray here on the bottom. And as you can see toward the thrusters, I did a bit more to show the effects of the thrusters in use. So I did something new on this. You know, as you can see, I definitely weathered it, and I think it came out really nice. And one of the new things I actually did was I went ahead and actually weathered this with black shoe polish, which is something that Cosplay Chris always does, and I've never done it before. Normally I use diluted acrylic black paint, and I was like, you know what, let me give it a shot. I went to Walmart, I bought the cheapest black shoe polish I could find, and I really like weathering with black shoe polish. So it's kind of interesting. I did almost the same thing that I do with black acrylic paint. I went ahead and I squeezed this out. I took the paintbrush and I basically covered the whole ship, making sure that the black paint went into all the creases, and then I let it dry a little bit, and then I took a wet cloth in this case, and I just started kind of you know, getting rid of parts that I didn't want anymore. So it was pretty interesting to try and do, and the result though is pretty amazing. It's a little bit different. It leaves more like I don't know what to call it. It leaves more of this like dirty look because it kind of like dries differently than black paint. I don't know how to describe it, but I do know that I like the look of it. So I'm definitely going to be using this more, especially for bigger things like ships. I also bought some brown shoe polish, as I plan to customize a BB-8 that I have. But here's a look at the bottom now. As you guys can see, you know, fully integrated the that Nerf gun that looked horrible, and now I think it looks pretty decent. So guys, let me know, what do you think of this little mod slash customization that we did of Hera's X-Wing from Star Wars Rebels. I think it came out great, and I am now going to start customizing my another A-Wing that I have, the Last Jedi Blue Leader A-Wing, because it just looks too bright for me, and a Rebel ship definitely needs to be a bit more weathered and lived in. And plus, these two are going to match my Return of the Jedi A-Wing that I have, the exclusive one that looks, it's kind of a greenish and it's very battle damaged and things like that. So they'll all go together once I do this one. I think that the result was really good. So guys, let me know what you think in the comments down below about this fix, custom, whatever you want to call it. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe for more creative content. If you want to support the channel, go ahead and consider buying a t-shirt from my Design by Humans page if you enjoy the game Destiny. And let me know, guys, if there's anything else that you want to see, any customs. I have a couple more videos that I'm working on. I'm going to do a full video, my Cad Bane figure finally, and some cool things coming down. So let me know in the comments if there's anything particular you want to see. And I'll see what I can do. Until then, thank you all for watching, as always.